The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as Commander James Reed slammed his fist on the polished stone table. The representatives of over 200 alien species watched with a mixture of shock and unease. Humans were known for their emotions, but this display was unprecedented in the usually formal proceedings. Enough. Reed's voice echoed through the chamber. For 300 years, Earth has been a loyal member of this council. We've provided resources, supported your wars, and shared our culture. And how have you repaid us? He tossed a small silver device onto the table. It projected a three-dimensional image showing alien scientists extracting DNA from unconscious human subjects. You've been harvesting us like cattle. The head of the council, a tall blue-skinned being named Torval, rose slowly. Commander Reed, these accusations are most troubling. Perhaps we should discuss this in private. There will be no more private discussions. Reed cut him off. No more closed-door meetings where you decide our fate. Earth has been patient. Earth has been kind. That ends today. Behind Reed, the other human representatives stood in unity. Admiral Lisa Stone, her face hard as steel, stepped forward with a folder of documents. We have proof that 17 council species have been conducting illegal genetic experiments on humans for the past century, she announced, her voice calm but cold. You've taken our DNA, our blood, our very essence without consent to enhance your own species. Whispers spread through the chamber. Some representatives looked guilty, others confused, a few outraged at being exposed. Torval attempted to regain control. These are serious charges that require investigation. The council will form a committee to. The time for committees has passed. Reed interrupted. Earth didn't come here for another empty promise. He nodded to Dr. Alex Murray, Earth's chief scientist, who activated his tablet. On the massive screen overlooking the chamber, evidence began to play. Secret recordings of council meetings planning to suppress human technological advancement, documents outlining plans to limit Earth's influence, and most damning of all, footage of alien ships abducting humans from remote areas. You feared us, Reed continued, his voice lower now, but somehow more threatening. You saw our potential, and instead of welcoming it, you conspired to keep us down. You limited our access to advanced technology. You manipulated our governments. You kept us divided. The council chamber erupted in protests and denials, but the evidence was overwhelming. Some representatives remained silent, their guilt evident. Admiral Stone stepped forward again. As of this moment, Earth severs all ties with the Galactic Council. All human representatives, trade envoys, and military personnel are being recalled to Sol's system immediately. You cannot simply leave the council, Torval exclaimed. There are treaties, agreements, all null and void due to your violations, Reed replied. Article 17 of the Founding Charter states that any systematic deception by council leadership invalidates all binding agreements. The human delegation began to walk out, ignoring the clamor behind them. At the massive doorway, Reed turned back one last time. For centuries, you've seen humans as useful but dangerous children. You were half right. We are dangerous when betrayed. His eyes swept the chamber. Earth is closing its borders. Any vessel approaching our system without explicit permission will be considered hostile and dealt with accordingly. The doors closed behind the human delegation with a final, heavy thud that seemed to echo throughout the galaxy. In the following hours, every human ship, outpost, and colony received the same message. Protocol Darkness initiated. Return home. The universe held its breath, not yet understanding the full implications of what had just occurred. Earth had not just left the table, it had flipped it entirely. And in the silence that followed, fear began to grow. Earth had severed all ties, and the universe was right to be afraid. 3 weeks after Earth's dramatic exit from the Galactic Council, the blue-green planet became something no one in the galaxy had ever seen before. Completely silent, Admiral Lisa Stone stood in Earth's main defense control center. surrounded by screens showing the retreat of the last human ships crossing into Sol space. Her face remained calm as she pressed her palm against the final authorization panel. Protocol darkness is now fully active, she announced to the room of officers. As of this moment, Earth and all human territories are officially dark. With those words, a ripple spread across the planet. To observers in space, it looked like a faint shimmer washing over Earth's atmosphere. Then, nothing. The planet that had broadcast music, messages, and signals to the stars for centuries went completely quiet. On the trade planet Vex 9, alien merchants watched in disbelief as their human business partners packed up without explanation. "When will you return?" asked Morden, a six-armed trader who had worked with humans for decades. The human merchant, Mike, shook his head. "We don't know. Maybe never." He handed Morden a small box. "A gift. Earth coffee. Might be the last you'll ever taste." Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out. Human scientists abandoned joint research projects. Human doctors left alien hospitals. Human artists canceled performances, all returning to Earth without detailed explanations. In the council chambers, emergency sessions stretched for days as representatives tried to understand what was happening. "They've activated something around their system," reported Zilla, the council's head scientist. She pointed to the screens showing the Sol system. "Our probes can't penetrate it. Our signals bounce back. It's technology we've never seen before." Torval, still shaken by Earth's departure, leaned forward. "How is this possible? Humans weren't supposed to have technology this advanced." "It seems," Zella replied carefully, "that they were hiding their true capabilities." Fear began to spread. Species that had looked down on humans suddenly remembered how quickly humans had advanced compared to other races, how adaptive they were, how tenacious. "We need to know what they're doing behind that shield," demanded the military representative from the Krell Empire, a warlike species that had previously dismissed humans as weak. "For all we know, they could be building a fleet to attack us all." "Perhaps," suggested a small, rarely heard representative from an older race, "we should consider that our actions have consequences. We betrayed their trust." The comment was ignored as the council debated sending a military force to probe Earth's defenses. Meanwhile, on colony worlds where humans and aliens had lived together, the sudden departure of humans left gaps that couldn't be filled. Human creativity, human work ethics, human unpredictability, all suddenly missing from the galactic community. Behind Earth's shield, a transformation began. Free from alien interference, human scientists worked together with a new sense of purpose. Admiral Stone and Commander Reed oversaw the unification of Earth's nations under a single defense protocol. "We were kept divided for a reason," Reed told a roomful of world leaders. "They feared what we could accomplish together. Now we'll show them they were right to be afraid." In shipyards hidden in Earth's oceans and on the far side of the moon, vessels of new design took shape. In laboratories across the planet, technologies long suppressed by subtle alien influence were finally developed. The silence of Earth was not the silence of inactivity. It was the hushed quiet of intense preparation. And across the galaxy, as months of silence stretched into years, the question grew more urgent among the alien species who had once thought themselves superior. What will happen when Earth decides to speak again? 5 years passed without a single word from Earth. The shield around the Sol system remained impenetrable, reflecting all probes and signals that attempted to breach it. The Galactic Council, once the undisputed power in the galaxy, found itself dealing with an unsettling new reality. Fear of the unknown. On the trading hub of Kryn Station, located at the edge of what was once human-controlled space, Vok of the Mercantile Alliance sat quietly in the corner of a busy bar. His 4 eyes carefully watched the room as he sipped a drink that burned his 3 throats. He was not here for pleasure. "You have information?" he asked as a hooded figure slid into the seat across from him. The smuggler, a reptilian being with scarred scales, glanced around before speaking. "My ship was caught in an asteroid field near the Sol barrier. had to make emergency repairs. That's when I saw it. Saw what? Vok leaned forward, all four eyes focused. A human ship, but not like any I've seen before. No visible engines, no radiation signature. It appeared from nowhere, scanned by vessel, then vanished. Didn't even ripple space. Vok's skin changed color slightly, an involuntary reaction to surprise. Impossible. All known species leave ripples when entering or exiting faster than light travel. The humans don't. Not anymore. The smuggler slid a small data chip across the table. My ship's sensors recorded it. Barely. Similar stories began to emerge across the galaxy. A mining colony on the rim reported strange lights near the system's edge before their most advanced technology mysteriously upgraded itself overnight. A research station claimed to have captured images of human-designed ships moving in ways that defied the understood laws of physics. In the Galactic Council chambers, these reports were collected and analyzed with growing concern. "The humans are testing us," declared General Krav of the Krell military. "They show us glimpses of their technology to measure our response." Or perhaps, suggested the elderly representative of the Arcturian philosophy, "they are simply going about their business, and we occasionally notice them." After what they discovered about our experiments on them, would you blame them for watching us? Added a newer council member, one of the few who had joined after Earth's departure. The debate was interrupted when the doors opened and a junior aide rushed in, breaking all protocol. "Forgive the interruption," the aide said breathlessly, "but we've lost contact with Science Outpost 47. The room fell silent. Outpost 47 was the Council's most advanced research facility, located in deep space specifically to study the soul barrier from a safe distance. Within hours, a scout ship reached the outpost's location. It found the station intact, the crew alive and well, but every piece of research about Earth gone. The memory cores of both computers and organic crew members had been selectively wiped. No one could remember what they had discovered. On worlds throughout the galaxy, the legend of Earth grew. Children of various species whispered stories of human ghosts who could walk through walls and human warriors who could not be killed. Religions began incorporating Earth into their prophecies, some as saviors, others as destroyers. Trade Representative Vok continued collecting his intelligence. He noted the rising panic among the powerful species who had once manipulated humans. He observed how former council leaders were quietly retiring or disappearing. He watched as species began building up defenses and stockpiling weapons, preparing for a threat they couldn't define. In his private quarters, Vok reviewed everything he had learned and reached a simple conclusion. The humans weren't preparing for war. They had already won it without firing a shot. The galaxy's power structure had been built on the belief that humans were controllable. With that belief shattered, the old order was crumbling from within. Earth's silence spoke louder than any threat, and the rumors of what waited behind that silence kept the galaxy awake at night. 8 years of silence ended on an ordinary day. At the edge of Council space, near the bustling trade hub of Centauri Station, a ripple formed in the empty void. Space itself seemed to part like a curtain, and through this impossible opening glided a single ship. It was unmistakably of human design, yet unlike any vessel the galaxy had seen before. Sleek and silver, with no visible engines or weapons, it moved with a grace that made the most advanced council ships look clumsy by comparison. Along its hull, subtle blue lights pulsed in patterns that seemed almost alive. "Unknown vessel, you have entered council space," warned the station's defense commander over the common channel. "Identify yourself immediately." A moment of silence followed. Then a voice replied in the universal trade language. "This is Captain Marcus Wells of the Earth vessel New Dawn. We come with a message for the galaxy." News of the human ship spread faster than light itself, carried by emergency broadcasts and private channels alike. Within hours, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session, and a small fleet of military vessels surrounded the human ship at a respectful distance. On Centauri Station, Representatives from 24 species gathered in the main diplomatic hall. Captain Wells, a tall human with dark skin and calm eyes, walked in alone and unarmed. He carried only a small metallic sphere in his right hand. "Earth has been silent for 8 years," began one of the council representatives, a being of living crystal. "Why return now?" Captain Wells placed the sphere on the table. It hovered slightly above the surface, spinning slowly. "Earth has been rebuilding, healing, and growing," he replied. His voice was neither angry nor friendly, just matter of fact. "We've developed in ways we couldn't while under the Council's guidance." "Are you declaring war?" asked the Krell military attaché bluntly. A small smile crossed Wells' face. "If Earth wanted war, you would know it already." He gestured to the sphere. "This contains Earth's new position. We are open to establishing relations with individual species who wish to trade or share knowledge. But Earth will never again join the Galactic Council." The sphere projected a hologram showing terms for new relationships, fair trade agreements, cultural exchanges, scientific collaboration, all on equal footing. Missing were the one-sided terms that had once kept humans at a disadvantage. "These terms are unprecedented," protested a council elder. "What gives Earth the right to dictate?" "Earth dictates nothing," Wells interrupted calmly. "Each species is free to accept or decline, but these are our only terms." Outside the station, the situation grew tense as more military vessels arrived. A nervous commander ordered warning shots fired near the human ship. What happened next would be replayed on screens across the galaxy for years to come. The energy bolts from the Council vessels simply disappeared before touching the human ship. Then, without any visible weapon being fired, every Council ship went dark, their systems completely shut down. Captain Wells glanced at a small device on his wrist. "Your vessels will restart in 5 minutes. No damage has been done. Consider it a demonstration." In the silence that followed, several representatives made quick decisions that would change the course of galactic politics forever. The representative from the trading worlds stood first. The trading worlds would like to discuss these terms immediately. Others followed, smaller powers seizing the opportunity to establish direct relations with Earth outside the Council's control. As the meeting concluded, Captain Wells made one final statement. "For centuries, you saw humans as useful but limited. You were wrong. Earth has broken free of its chains, and we will not be bound again." The human ship departed as mysteriously as it had come, leaving behind a galaxy in turmoil and a council whose power had begun to crumble. Earth had returned, not as a supplicant, but as a force that could no longer be ignored or controlled. The age of human submission was over. 1 month after Captain Wells' dramatic appearance, representatives from 37 galactic species gathered on a neutral space station at the edge of what was now being called Earth space. The station, once a minor trading post, had been transformed by human engineers in just 3 days into a magnificent diplomatic center that outshone even the Galactic Council's Grand Hall. Director Anna Torres, Earth's chief negotiator, stood at the center of the main chamber. Unlike the formal robes worn by alien diplomats, she wore a simple blue uniform with only a small Earth emblem on her collar. Her straight posture and steady gaze commanded respect without needing to demand it. "Welcome to the first Sovereign Species Summit," she began. "Earth appreciates your willingness to establish new relationships based on mutual respect." The chamber's walls suddenly transformed, becoming transparent and revealing the vastness of space around them. Many gasped as they realized the station was now moving, traveling faster than should have been possible without anyone feeling the slightest motion. "This is Earth's fold drive technology," Torres explained. "It doesn't push through space. It folds space itself, one of many advancements we've made since leaving the Council." The station slowed near a small moon where a human outpost glowed with blue-white light. Massive structures orbited nearby, clearly manufacturing facilities of some kind. "Earth is prepared to share certain technologies with trusted partners," Torres continued. energy systems that require no fuel, medical techniques that can extend life by centuries, defensive systems that render traditional weapons obsolete. The Novan representative, a being of pure energy contained in a special suit, spoke up. And what does Earth want in return? Torres smiled slightly. Respect, fair trade, and a binding agreement that no species will ever again experiment on another without full consent. As Torres outlined Earth's non-negotiable terms, word was spreading throughout the galaxy. On hundreds of worlds, citizens watched live broadcasts of the summit. They saw the impossible technology. They heard the reasonable terms. They began asking questions of their leaders. In the Krell Empire, known for its aggressive expansion, protests erupted in major cities as citizens demanded access to Earth's clean energy technology. On Novus Prime, the central world of a species that had been among the most vocal critics of humans, the planetary government fell overnight when it was revealed they had rejected Earth's offer of medical technology that could have saved millions. Back at the Galactic Council headquarters, emergency meetings stretched into days as the old power structure began to crumble. "We must take military action before more worlds break away," insisted the Krell general, pounding his armored fist on the table. "With what?" replied the Arcturian representative. "Half our fleet captains have already refused orders to mobilize against Earth. They've seen what human technology can do." Torval, who had led the council when Earth departed, looked visibly aged. "We brought this upon ourselves," he said quietly. "We treated humans as resources rather than partners. Now we face the consequences." At the Sovereign Species Summit, more agreements were signed each day. Director Torres moved with tireless efficiency, meeting with each delegation personally. When asked by the Tellurian ambassador how Earth had advanced so quickly, her answer was simple yet chilling. "For centuries, subtle influences held us back. Technologies that should have worked somehow failed. Unified efforts mysteriously fell apart. Once we identified these foreign manipulations and removed them, our natural progress resumed at its true pace." The implication sent shockwaves through the diplomatic community. If humans had achieved so much in just 8 years of freedom, what would the next century bring? As the summit concluded, 29 species had signed new accords with Earth. The old order was ending, replaced by a network of direct relationships between sovereign powers. Earth had not conquered through war, but had transformed the galaxy through the simple act of standing firm and offering fair terms. The universe that had once looked down on humans now looked to them with a mixture of fear, respect, and hope. 3 months after the Sovereign Species Summit, the remains of the Galactic Council made their final desperate move. What had once been a body of over 200 species was now reduced to just 43, mostly those who had been most deeply involved in the exploitation of humans, and now had the most to lose. In a closed session, protected by the strongest privacy fields available, they made their decision. "We have no choice," said Supreme Military Commander Draz of the Krell. "If we don't act now, the Council will completely collapse. Earth's technology must be ours." The plan was simple but dangerous. A strike force of the most advanced ships from 6 different species would attack the human research outpost on Titan, one of Saturn's moons. Their goal was to capture human scientists and technology before escaping back to Council space. General Thomas Ward, commander of Earth's Defense Force, received the warning about the planned attack 3 hours before it was launched. He stood in the command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, watching as the approaching fleet appeared on the monitoring screens. "They still don't understand," he said quietly to his officers, "even after everything they've seen." The attack force arrived at the edge of the Sol system with impressive speed, using their most advanced cloaking technology. They believed they were invisible. They were wrong. "Fleet detected at outer marker," reported Lieutenant Ryan at the monitoring station. 87 ships of various classes. Weapons hot. General Ward nodded. "Begin protocol mirror. Non-lethal response authorized." Throughout the command center, officers activated a series of controls. No alarms sounded. No panic ensued. The atmosphere was calm, almost routine. The alien fleet accelerated toward Titan, confident in their superior numbers and the element of surprise. They didn't know that human sensors had mapped every detail of their ships, from crew locations to weapon systems to the quantum signatures of their engines. Halfway to their target, every ship in the attack fleet suddenly stopped. Not slowed down, stopped completely, frozen in space as if time itself had ceased to flow around them. On the lead vessel, the Krell commander raged at his crew as every system went dark except life support and basic communications. Then the screens came back to life, showing the face of General Ward. "This is an unauthorized incursion into Earth space," Ward stated calmly. "Your vessels have been temporarily neutralized." The Krell commander snarled. "We are the rightful authority in this galaxy. You will release our ships immediately or what?" Ward asked, his voice still level. "Your weapons cannot fire. Your engines cannot move. You exist right now because we permit it." What happened next was broadcast to every world in the galaxy. It wasn't blocked or censored because it couldn't be. Human technology overrode every communication system simultaneously. The screens of billions of beings across thousands of worlds showed the same image. The attack fleet surrounded by a soft blue light. Then, one by one, each ship was gently turned around, facing away from Earth. A moment later, they were smoothly propelled back toward Council space, like children being firmly but kindly escorted out of a room where they didn't belong. No shots fired, no lives lost, just the complete and utter humiliation of what had once been the most feared military force in the galaxy. As the fleet was pushed homeward, General Ward delivered a final message not just to them, but to the watching galaxy. "Earth does not seek conflict. We do not want revenge for past wrongs, but we will never again allow others to determine our fate. Any further military action against Earth or our allies will be met with the same response. This is your only warning." The broadcast ended, but the message was clear. Earth could have destroyed the fleet. Instead, they had chosen mercy, and in doing so, demonstrated power far more frightening than any weapon. In the aftermath, the remaining Council authority crumbled. The species that had launched the attack faced internal rebellions, as their own citizens questioned why their leaders had risked everything in such a foolish venture. Earth had won without firing a single shot. 1 year after the failed attack on Titan, representatives from over 300 species gathered on Earth itself. For most, it was their first time setting foot on the planet that had become both legend and reality in the galaxy's consciousness. The Grand Assembly took place in a massive dome built specifically for the occasion. The structure seemed to float above the plains of what had once been called Africa, its transparent walls offering panoramic views of Earth's natural beauty. None of the visiting dignitaries could find evidence of how the enormous structure was supported, another small reminder of humanity's technological leap. Commander James Reed, the man who had walked out of the Galactic Council chamber 9 years earlier, now stood as Earth's representative. His hair had gone gray, but his eyes still held the same determination. "Welcome to Earth," he began, his voice carrying effortlessly to every corner of the dome. "Many of you come from worlds that once looked down on humans as primitive, emotional, or unpredictable. Others come from worlds that suffered under the same system that held us back." He gestured to the assembly, where former Council species sat alongside races that had never been permitted Council membership. "Today, we formalize a new way forward. Not a new Council with Earth at its head, but a true alliance of equals." The Earth Alliance Charter was deceptively simple. Each species retained full sovereignty. Technology and knowledge would be shared equally among all members. No experiments could be conducted on sentient beings without explicit consent. All members pledged mutual defense against outside threats. Most importantly, no single species or group would hold authority over others. Decisions affecting the alliance would require consensus. As the signing ceremony proceeded, Reed stepped away from the main platform, finding a quiet corner where Admiral Lisa Stone waited. 9 years ago, we were so angry, Reed said quietly. We wanted the galaxy to fear us. Stone nodded. They did fear us. Now they respect us. That's better. Across the dome, alien representatives mingled with humans, many experiencing Earth food, music, and culture for the first time without the filters and distortions the Council had once placed on all human exports. A small group of the oldest species in the galaxy gathered in another corner, speaking in low tones. Humans found the archives, didn't they? Asked the ancient Arcturian representative. That's how they advanced so quickly. The question was directed at Dr. Alex Murray, who had been Earth's chief scientist during the years of isolation. Yes, Murray admitted. When we severed ties and cleared our systems of alien influence, we discovered signals we'd been programmed to ignore. They led us to a repository of knowledge left by the first ones. The first ones, the original species that had explored the galaxy millions of years before any current race evolved. Their legacy had been hidden, controlled by the former council leaders who feared what would happen if younger species accessed such advanced knowledge. The archives weren't meant for any one species, Murray continued. They were meant to be shared. The council knew this but kept them hidden to maintain control. As the day turned to evening, the dome's walls became transparent to the star-filled sky above. Earth had insisted on hosting the ceremony at night so that all representatives could see the stars. The same stars that humans had dreamed of reaching for millennia. Commander Reed returned to the central platform for a final address. Look up, he told the assembled representatives. Those stars don't belong to humans. They don't belong to any single species. They belong to all of us. He paused, looking over the gathering. Earth severed all ties with a corrupt system that sought to control rather than cooperate. Many feared what would follow. Today we prove those fears wrong. Today we begin again. As equals, as allies, as friends exploring the universe together. As the new Earth Alliance Charter was formally activated, signals spread across the galaxy announcing the dawn of a new era. The old order had fallen. The new had begun. And it started with Earth choosing cooperation over revenge.